Welcome to Sleep Town, the coziest, calmest place you'll ever find, where each story leads you into the softest dreams and the sleepiest sleepies. Tonight we invite you to snuggle in, to feel the warmth of your blanket as it wraps around you like a loving hug. Allow yourself to settle in comfortably, feeling your pillow cradle your head, just right, pressing your cheek into its soft, fresh fabric. Take a moment to find that perfect spot, nestling in until every part of you feels warm, supported, and cozy. Now take a deep breath in, filling your lungs with calm and tranquility, and then let it out slowly, releasing any tension or worries for the day. As you breathe out, feel your body getting heavier, every muscle relaxing, allowing you to sink a little deeper into the mattress beneath you. Let your arms and legs go loose, soft and relaxed. Resting comfortably, give your body permission to fully let go, to release the day's stress. Picture yourself sinking deeper and deeper, drifting away from the hustle and bustle of the day, where every sound becomes softer and more distant, and every thought eases into a calm, gentle hush. Close your eyes and let's take a journey to Sleep Town together. Imagine the soothing landscape around you, a peaceful realm where the air is filled with soft whispers and gentle breezes. Tonight there's a brand new story waiting just for you. Tonight there's a brand new story waiting just for you. A gentle adventure in a world filled with warmth, calm, and wonder. So let's drift away, getting cozy as we allow our breaths to become slow and quiet. With each soft inhale, feel the peacefulness wash over you, and with each gentle exhale, let go of anything that doesn't serve you in this moment. Allow your mind to float free, like a soft feather on a light breeze as we wander off to Sleep Town. The sun was shining in thin beams that filtered through the living room blinds, casting warm patterns on the carpet where the two fluffy ragdoll cats, Pandora and Mello, lay sprawled. Meet Pandora, a fluffy bundle of contradictions wrapped in long, silky ragdoll fur that shimmers as she moves. Just like her name suggests, she's a Pandora's box of anxious energy, ready to burst open at any minute with jitters and worries. From afar, she looks like a picture of elegance, with her pristine light coat framing a striking black face and ears, which only adds to her air of mystery. Her paws are covered in tufts of black fur that spill over her toes, creating an appearance both regal and slightly wild, as if she's perpetually wearing delicate, fluffy slippers. But it's Pandora's eyes that draw you in, two bright blue orbs, as vivid and clear as a summer sky. They're wide and always darting around, taking in every shadow and flicker. There's an alertness in her gaze that hints at her constant state of worry. Every noise, every movement in her environment seems to amplify in her mind, creating a symphony of imagined dangers and what-ifs. The world outside her cozy home is busy, loud, and unpredictable, and in Pandora's eyes, that makes it probably pretty dangerous. Despite this, Pandora puts on an act that would fool anyone who doesn't know her very well. She walks with a confident stride, tail held high, and her voice carries a bossy edge when she commands her brother Mello, or claims the best spot by the window. But beneath that assertive front is a cat whose heart beats a little faster than she would like to admit. A cat who fakes bravery with a quiver in her whiskers and a flick of her tail. She's determined to be brave and bold, even if her twitching ears and sudden jumps say otherwise. Pandora's world is one of contradictions. A queen in her own mind, ruling over an ever-frightening kingdom where everything is a little too busy, a little too loud, and probably, definitely dangerous. But for all her worries, there's a charm to her determined act, a sweetness in her attempt to be fearless, even if her paws are ready to spring at the slightest rustle. Meet Mello, the embodiment of serene grace with a touch of unintentional comedy. He's strikingly handsome, a vision of feline majesty, wrapped in a perfect cloud-like coat. His long, flowing white fur cascades around him, forming a mane that gives him the regal appearance of a miniature lion surveying his kingdom. Mello's presence is breathtaking, his fluffy tail sweeping lazily behind him, and his body moving with an effortless, slow-motion elegance. But it's his eyes that tell the true story. They're deep, dazzling blue, like twin pools reflecting off a clear sky on a sunny day. Yet there's something vacant in that gaze, a soft, absent-mindedness that seems to say, I'm here, but my mind might be on a beach somewhere, watching the waves. Mello is quite simply the polar opposite of his sister, Pandora. Where she is a whirlwind of anxious energy, Mello embodies his name perfectly. Mello. Unhurried and blissfully unconcerned. Nothing can shake his tranquility. A sudden noise that sends Pandora jumping out of her fur would barely get a flick of Mello's ear. He could be walking a tightrope over a pool of snapping sharks while holding a stick of fire, and he'd still saunter across without a flicker of worry. Safety and danger simply don't register in Mello's world. Everything is a serene adventure, one he drifts through with dreamy indifference. He's perpetually distracted, captivated by the simple wonders around him, a butterfly flitting by, or a beam of sunlight dancing on the floor. That is enough to make him pause mid-step. Lost in a daze, he often gets sidetracked during the simplest tasks, staring off into the distance with those stunning blue eyes that hold so little of the world's troubles. Mello's presence is a soothing balm to those who meet him, a reminder that sometimes it's okay to just be, to wander through life without a care, enjoying every moment with the confidence of a lion who has never had to roar. They were both indoor cats, pampered and protected, rarely, if ever, given the chance to step a paw outside. Not that they didn't dream of a world beyond their cozy home. In secret, Pandora, the self-proclaimed boss kitty, with her sleek black face and furry black paws, often gazed out the window with a mix of longing and fear. As for Mello, he never really thought much about anything. He just existed. Mello, like his name. Today, though, something was different. A small, seemingly insignificant moment would change their day from ordinary to extraordinary. The front door had been left slightly ajar, just enough for curious noses and whisper-soft paws to push it wider. The cool scent of the outside air tinged with hints of grass, adventure, and just a little bit of unknown drifted in. Pandora's heart thumped in her chest, louder than the sound of her tail swishing nervously. She looked at the door, then back at Mello, who was busy batting a dust bunny without a care in the world. "Mello," she whispered in a voice that tried to sound commanding, but wavered with nerves. "Do you see it? The door. It's open." Mello's ears twitched, but his gaze stayed fixed on the dust bunny, his tail flicking lazy behind him. Pandora sighed, rolling her eyes in an exaggerated fashion. "Come on, Mello," she said, louder this time. And that seemed to finally break through his fluffy, distracted bubble. His wide blue eyes blinked at her with the kind of vacant expression that only Mello could muster. Pandora turned and tiptoed toward the door, her little black paws making barely a sound as she crossed the wooden floor. Before she could change her mind, she squeezed herself through the opening. A rush of fresh air hit her face, full of scents and sounds that made her whiskers tingle. Mello followed, squeezing out just in time, nearly getting his tail caught as he fumbled his way after her. "We're outside," Pandora breathed, her voice a mix of awe and trepidation. She glanced nervously around, eyes darting from shadow to shadow, ears pricked up for the slightest noise. "What's that?" She jumped at the sound of a distant car honking, her fur puffing up in surprise. She tried to regain her composure, standing taller and pretending like she was in control, but being careful to be quiet, so as not to draw any unwanted attention. Mello, on the other hand, unbothered and oblivious to any danger that may lurk around, exclaimed with joy at the possibility of new friends and adventure. "Hello," he yelled. "Hello, we're here. Does anyone want to play?" He blinked at a butterfly that fluttered lazily nearby. Completely unfazed by the big world that suddenly surrounded him, he stepped forward, paws patting softly on the path as he followed the butterfly, eyes locked onto it like it was the most important thing in the universe. "Stay close and be quiet," Pandora warned, her tail quivering with anxiety. But Mello didn't hear. He was already wandering, weaving clumsily in pursuit of his winged fascination. Together they padded down the front path, then turned left and left again. Drawn further from the safety of their home, Pandora's eyes darted around, suspicious of every leaf that rustled and every shadow that danced on the sidewalk. Meanwhile, Mello trotted along, his mouth slightly open in what looked like a goofy smile, focused on nothing but the butterfly. As they reached the main road, Pandora halted with a sharp intake of breath. A small lizard basked on the edge of the curb, its scales glistening under the sun. With all the confidence she could muster, Pandora stepped forward carefully. Her head tilted and eyes narrowed. "Hello. Excuse me," she said, her tiny voice demanding attention. But the lizard didn't respond, only flicked its tongue and skidded away a few inches. Pandora's fur bristled. Rude. "Mello, did you see that?" she huffed, glancing back to find Mello nowhere near. He was in the middle of the sidewalk, pawing at the butterfly that teased him with fluttering wings. His oblivious smile plastered across his face. Pandora sighed, half in annoyance, half in reluctant amusement. The great outdoors was full of mysteries, but she had a feeling that keeping Mello out of trouble might just be the biggest adventure of all. Just as Pandora's irritation over the lizard's rudeness subsided, a new noise crept into her ears. A rustling sound, sharp and sudden, coming from the nearby bushes. Her fur bristled instantly, her eyes widened as her imagination kicked into overdrive. What was that? A monster? A giant dog? A bird big enough to carry cats away? Her mind raced, conjuring images of every possible creature that could be lurking just out of sight. She backed up slowly, her paws pressing into the warm concrete, her belly low to the ground and her ears pinned down. As the rustling grew louder, suddenly a gust of wind sent a plastic bag skittering across the sidewalk with a flurry of crinkling noises. "It's after us," Pandora yelped, leaping so high that her black-tipped paws seemed to hover in the air for a moment. Without a second glance, she darted off, her heart pounding like a drum. "Pandora, wait, where are you?" Mello called out after her, his gaze finally snapping away from the butterfly as it flew off in peace. Before he could react, Pandora barreled past him. A fluffy blur of panic and instinct took over. He bolted after her, his fluffy mane bouncing with each stride. They raced down the unfamiliar path, Pandora zigzagging wildly, as her imagination painted terrifying shadows that weren't really there. Mello followed, his usually calm face now wearing a mix of confusion and excitement as he galloped behind her, paws thudding rhythmically against the pavement. He hadn't played this game before, but it sure was fun. As they ran, the world around them seemed to grow louder and more overwhelming. The distant hum of traffic swelled into a roar, and the whooshing sound of the passing cars sent new shivers down Pandora's spine. Horns blared, the chatter of people drifted over the fences, and the rush of the city buzzed in their ears. The once inviting outside world had become a cacophony of unfamiliar noise and movement. Panting, Pandora skidded to a halt, her eyes wide and darting. They were on a busy street now, far from their familiar little corner of the world. The noise of the engines and the voices surrounded them, echoing off the buildings and vibrating through their tiny bodies. Mello caught up and plopped down beside her, his tongue lolling out, relaxed as ever. Where are we?" Pandora whispered, trying to mask her trembling voice. Mello tilted his head curiously, his deep blue eyes meeting hers. A car sped by, and Pandora flinched, pressing her ears flat once again. Mello's gaze wandered, catching the sight of a moving leaf nearby that seemed to hold all of his attention. Pandora swallowed hard, her imagination no longer playful, but heavy with worry. They were far from home, and the world outside had proven to be much bigger, louder, and more complicated than they had ever imagined. Pandora took a deep breath, trying to suppress the trembling of her whiskers. "Okay, Mello," she said, more to herself than to her brother. "We just need to retrace our steps and head home. We went left, then left again, right?" She glanced around, the maze of streets and towering buildings looking far more intimidating now. Mello, however, was already distracted by a fluttering leaf that danced its way across the sidewalk, his eyes wide with fascination. Pandora sighed, watching him pore at it as if they weren't lost in an unfamiliar world. "Mello, focus, we need to..." Before she could finish, a raspy voice interrupted her. "What's all this fuss about?" Pandora and Mello turned to see an older ragdoll cat with a perpetually grumpy expression plastered on their face. Her fur was long and plush, white, speckled with grey, and her deep, narrow eyes seemed to peer right through them. Despite her scowling face, her voice had the warmth of an elderly grandmother, soft but sharp. "Are you two lost?" the old cat asked, tilting her head slightly. Pandora nodded quickly. "Yes, we're trying to find our way home, but it's so big out here." The older cat, who introduced herself as Penny, chuckled, a sound more like a croak. "Oh, kittens, it's been years since I worried about going home. But don't you worry, I can help you." Pandora's eyes brightened with hope. "Oh, thank you so much. Can you tell us which way to go?" Penny nodded confidently, her ears twitching. Yes, I heard the chaotic sound of you barreling up the street and came to see what was going on. And lucky for you, I saw most of your journey here. All you have to do is go left, then right, then up the hill and down again. You'll be back before you can say catnip pie." Pandora glanced at Mello, who was now watching a nearby ant march across the sidewalk, not listening at all, before she turned back to Penny. "Left, right, up, down. Got it." They set off with renewed determination, Pandora leading the way, while Mello bumbled along behind, eyes darting from one small curiosity to the next. But as they walked, the streets started to look suspiciously familiar. The same mailbox, the same garden, the same squeaky gate. And soon, they were back at the spot where they'd first met Penny. What the? Penny, Pandora called, bewildered. Penny was lounging by a storm drain, looking rather pleased with herself. "Ah, back already?" Penny said with a purr. Pandora's fur fluffed up with frustration. "You sent us in a circle." Penny's eyes twinkled, a rare hint of amusement showing through her grumpy face. "Oh, did I? Well, oh dear, I was never very good with directions." She gestured lazily with one paw. "I don't really have a home myself. I haven't been back in years. I just live in this cozy drain here. Plenty of room, a nice breeze. You'd be surprised how nice it is." Pandora exchanged a glance with Mello, who was now trying to catch a speck of dust with his paw. With a sigh, Pandora knew they'd have to find their own way home without Penny's help. "Well, thanks anyway," she muttered, turning back to the street. The adventure wasn't over yet, but one thing was certain. They'd learned that even the most confident guides could sometimes lead you in circles. as the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the world in warm hues of orange and pink. Pandora and Mello bid a confused farewell to Penny, the old ragdoll cat, with the eternally grumpy face. Penny squinted at them, her whiskers twitching with mild irritation. "Now you young'uns behave yourself, and remember, if you need a place to stay, my drain's always open," she called out after them with a scratchy, grandmotherly tone. Pandora, her fur fluffed up with a mix of frustration and relief, muttered under her breath, "Thanks, Penny, I think." She shot a look to Mello, who was already distracted by a flitting leaf that danced in the evening breeze. "Well, Mello," Pandora sighed, trying to sound authoritative despite the shaky edge in her voice. "We have to figure this out ourselves." She glanced around, bright eyes darting nervously. The street was still unfamiliar, lined with tall bushes and strange houses that loomed over them like silent giants. The world outside felt so much bigger, busier, and scarier than it did in her daydreams. Just as Pandora started to panic, Mello's head perked up, his blue eyes wide and serene. Before she could question him, he dashed forward, his fluffy mane bouncing as he trotted off, following the swooping path of a little bird with bright yellow feathers. The bird chirped cheekily, hopping along just ahead of Mello, as if leading him on a playful chase. "Mello, wait," Pandora called, her voice half scolding, half pleading. But Mello didn't stop. He was entranced by the bird. His paws pattered softly on the cool pavement, each step light and rhythmic. Pandora struggled to keep up, her heart thudding as she glanced around, half expecting something terrifying to pop out from a bush. The bird flitted up the street, swooping low and then high, teasing Mello with a little flutter here and a chirp there. Pandora followed, grumbling under her breath about the absurdity of chasing birds at a time like this. But soon she noticed that the scenery was starting to look more familiar. The hedges seemed less intimidating, and there was, at the end of the block, was the crooked old mailbox that marked the turn onto their street. Pandora's eyes widened in realization. Wait, is this? She followed Mello as he pattered confidently along the sidewalk, oblivious to the fact that he was leading them home. The bird made one last playful loop before vanishing into the branches of a tree, and Mello skidded to a confused halt, his nose twitching as he looked around. "What? Where did the bird go?" he murmured, tilting his head, a look of utter puzzlement on his face. Pandora gasped, rushing up beside him. "Mello, you did it. You found the way home." Her voice was a mix of disbelief and joy. For the first time, the weight of their adventure lifted, and a relieved laugh bubbled up in her throat. "Oh, my catnip Mello, you're a genius." Mello blinked at her, still looking lost. "Huh? Home? Ah, yeah, sure," he said lazily, a smile spreading across his face. Then his gaze drifted back up to the tree where the bird had disappeared. But where did the bird go? Pandora let out an exasperated but affectionate sigh. "Come on, you big fluffy line. Let's get inside before you chase a cloud next." With that, the two cats padded up the walkway, their fur catching in the last light of the day as they made their way back to the safety and comfort of their cozy home. The familiar scent of their house enveloped them like a soft blanket, and the tension from the grand adventure started to melt away. Pandora padded over to their favourite spot, the scratching post. The soft fabric worn down from countless stretches and claw marks. She dug her claws in, giving a few satisfying scratches that eased the lingering jitters in her paws. Mello, she sighed. I don't think I'm going outside again anytime soon. Her voice was half serious, half amused, as she flicked her tail and gave a little shudder at the thought of the loud streets. Mello, his fur a little bit ruffled and a stray leaf still clinging onto his back, blinked at Pandora with his deep blue eyes. But instead of paying attention, he turned his gaze to the window where the last light of the day caught on the wings of a butterfly outside. His ears perked up, eyes wide with wonder. Did you see that? He murmured, captivated by its fluttering dance. Pandora shook her head with a soft smile, the exhaustion of the day making her whiskers droop. Mello, you're never going to change, are you? She said, a hint of fondness in her voice. Mello, oblivious as ever, just pawed at the air as if trying to reach the butterfly, even though it was well out of sight. Their bedtime routine wrapped up as they both settled onto the couch, their soft bodies sinking into the plush cushions. Pandora curled herself into a tight, fluffy ball, her eyes half closing as she felt the comfort of the home soothe her nerves. Mello flopped down beside her, a lazy yawn escaping him as his head rested on his paws, still peering dreamily at the window. The room quiet, save for the gentle hum of the heater and the soft ticking of a nearby clock. Pandora let out a deep, contented sigh, her eyelids growing heavy. Maybe tomorrow will just be a normal day, she mumbled sleepily. Mello let out a small purr, his eyes finally drifting shut. But even as he fell into sleep, his tail twitched, as if chasing after the last memory of the butterfly's dance. And so, with the comfort of home wrapping around them, and the dreams of curious adventures swirling in their minds, Pandora and Mello drifted off, the day's excitement fading into the soft embrace of sleep.